easy. We don't have to figure out by now. Oh, you got your pictures on the wall, got your posters on the wall, got your problems on the wall. All your problems, all your problems, all your feelings. We're supposed to care somehow. Oh, you got your pictures on the wall, got your posters on the wall, got your problems on the wall. Yeah, all your problems, all your problems. We're all working harder, waiting for a good chance to get the distance farther, waiting for a good chance to be another victim or martyr. Say anything to get me out of here. Working harder, waiting for a good chance to get the distance farther, waiting for a good chance to be another victim or martyr. Say anything to get me out of here.
Well, hi everyone. We're live.
Hello.
All right, we got a heck of a show in store. So we're gonna wait a few minutes here and let a few more people come in. Want to talk about some things that have been going on. Rebel News has been covering an old article of ours that we covered a while back. I'll actually pull that up now, but we covered an article on Lamont Daigle of the Line Canada after about an hour and a half interview. I think it was about an hour and a half, where basically we kept asking questions and getting unrelated answers to the questions. But in recent days, Ezra has come out with a tweet calling him a kook and basically an infiltrator. And some of the things that came out in their 20-minute interview on a follow-up of our work was concerning in of itself, including at about the 10-minute mark, he admits to taking secret oaths, being a part of a secret society, or secret group called the Mankind Project. And they asked if Dave Menzies asked if he could come to a weekend but keep his clothes on, and he basically said, "I'm not prepared to answer that."
He called him a narc and a kook.
A narc, okay. So I'm just going to pull up the article here because there's a few things I feel like maybe now's the time to talk about a little bit. That time has passed, and people understand where we're coming from a little bit better. But basically, this poster here, I got to pull it up here. Okay. This poster here, you notice that for our thumbnail on our article, we actually used a movie poster. I don't know, that seemed to go over most people's heads, but he was a low-budget actor. This film that he was in called Sugar, where he plays a sugar daddy, grossed less than, I think, $4,000 or $5,000, a very small Canadian film.
Can't find it though at all. Yeah, I was looking for it online.
Yeah, and I couldn't find it when we went through. But some of the things that he said of concern from various interviews we did of him. Some of the groups that are part of this organization are ready for violence if they need to. Now, I understand a lot of people are angry, and all I would say is every possible means of peaceful resolution needs to be done long before anybody starts talking like that. And this talk has been going on since July with Lamont.
When I interviewed him.
Yeah, and so then it continued. He said he had no belief in the judicial system. Then he talked about, so we'll just read that quote. Well, number one, I don't believe in any of them. Sorry, but I've given up on trusting any of the law courts. I've given up on trusting police. I know there's good police out there, and they're there to protect us. And anything outside of that, I don't trust them, okay? Because they're always lying to me, okay? they're always trying to get their mandate. And the thing is this, even when a judge overrules something in one province, because we specifically asked, now for context on this second paragraph, I literally said, once this thing hits the courts, I think it's such a blatant violation of our rights and our charter rights and our constitutional rights that it will just be procedural after it gets through the court, because it will go one level to the next level to the next level to the next level. So this is in response to that. Even when a judge overrules something in one province and then lets another province do the same, it's there. You know what? Until this is wide sweeping, I don't believe anything that's going on. Then he says, I'm also not educated with it to be able to speak intelligently about it. I've given up on trusting any of the law courts. I've given up on trusting police. I know there's good police out there and that they're there to protect us. Anything outside of that, I don't trust them. Okay. So a little bit down here, this is some of the quotes that Ezra Levant of Rebel News Media has alluded to, some of the violent quotes. There's a part of me that wants to kill people. Okay. And actually, we backed it up here. What was the question?
I think was that not the one in response to my suicide and COVID?
I think. Let me go down here. The question it was asked for context was about suicide. And this is the question: experts only predict that numbers will rise due to COVID-related issues. Why do you think that? Why do you think this isn't a huge talking point for the mainstream media? Are a few lives saved from COVID worth the extra suicides this year and every year following? His response to that was, "There's a part of me that wants to kill people." Okay. There's a part of me that hates bullies so effing bad that I want to go up to them. I want to punch them right in the throat ball, okay? And by the way, he had 20 minutes in his Rebel interview to try to act like we were friends because we covered some of the events of the line as journalists. And then if you've seen a recent Twitter back and forth, they tried to basically call us nothing journalists for a better part of 40 minutes. So it had. So then he goes, there's people out there yelling at me when I'm on a march, taking these people in the street and stuff, and they're doing some pretty shitty things. And don't you think I want to go up to them and give them a sidekick right to the face? Yes, I do. I want to be angry. I want to be violent, but I transmute that through the fact I'm a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda and David R. Hawkins, and I believe in Christ consciousness.
So how does that make any reference to what I asked him? Wow.
Yeah. So, and then he continued, trust me when I tell you it's a daily battle not to take someone's car and drive it through the middle of the CBC. And then he goes, it's a daily battle not to go off and take care of these guys the way I see in all the movies and stuff. So V is for Vendetta. He'd referred to a few times. And in that movie, the hero uses violence for good. So I thought that was an interesting point. Now, people ask, why did we release this interview? Because at the time, we were such a small outlet and nobody believed us, quite frankly. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody, wanted to even touch it. But this is kind of how it happens when you're covering hard topics and truth. You got to be willing to stand and trade, so to speak, and just take the blows and kind of stand tall until, truth is truth. It falls where it falls. And, you'll stand the test of time when you stand on truth. So basically going into, this is some of the stuff that concerned me. They openly endorse, they call themselves a global brotherhood of nonprofit charitable organizations. They tout themselves as that. And one gentleman who came back from one of their new warrior training weekends, he committed suicide, but before he did, he wrote a letter kind of exposing some of the things that went on. So in a letter to the sheriff's office, he detailed some of the rituals and activities he witnessed: blindfolded walking tours in the nude, people blowing sage smoke in his face while 50 or so naked men danced around candles. And then in the Rebel interview, Menzies asked him, well, can I keep my clothes on? He goes, I'm not prepared to answer that. I'm just so seeing some of the parallels here. Men sitting naked in a circle, discussing their sexual histories while passing a wooden dildo called the cock. And all this to say, I'm going to give you one more piece of information here tonight that I will, that needs to come out. So they openly endorse Black Lives Matter in a statement on their website. It was linked. We have the screen share. Whoops. So here's their statement on racism. And this was at this point when I decided, yeah, I'm writing the article. It was too much. I got to hear and I seen this statement. I seen what they were about. I believe my brother's Keeper initiative for Obama was tied through the website. I found that at the time too. He also admitted in his Rebel interview that he emceed for an event, the International Men's Day in 2019. And if you Want to go down the rabbit hole? Mentor of World Services and the International Men's Day, basically the United Nations Sustainable Head of Development spoke at that event that he emceed. So when Ezra's saying, I think he's an infiltrator, that's why we wrote the article, ladies and gentlemen. And unfortunately, we couldn't say all that at the time because nobody knew who we were and we were taking so much pressure. And that's not even the tip of the iceberg as far as kind of the concerns we had when writing it, because all I'll say is there's somebody close to me that knows where I live tied to that organization. We'll leave it at that. So one of the things we have to realize, this is out of their statement linked in our article. One of the things we have to realize and get Canadians to realize is that the most of our racism is unconscious. Where is this? Like, kind of sounds exactly like something we've heard before. It's because of the way we've been educated, the way we've been raised, the way we've been entertained through the media, the messaging that has come out to us from our leaders in the past, both political as well as social. When the Truth and Reconciliation Commission ended, I said that getting to the truth was hard, but getting to reconciliation is going to be harder. Continue. African Americans have been living in a burning building for many years, choking on the smoke as the flames burn closer and closer. Racism in America is like dust in the air. It seems invisible, even if you're choking on it, until you let the sun in. Then you see it's everywhere. So racism's everywhere in their minds. As long as we keep shining the light, we have a chance of cleaning it wherever it lands. And that's not to say racism doesn't exist in Canada and elsewhere, because obviously it does. But we have to stay I'm going to continue. We have to stay vigilant because it's always still in the air. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then it is relatively easy for organizations to make statements about the horror of the tragedy that happened to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless others in the U.S. to lament the injustice of it all. Or for some of us to things are better here in Canada by extension, that we are better. Yet we know that no farther than in our own backyards, and recognize that. Black Lives Matter. This is the part that once I read this, it was like, yeah, I'm writing it. Black Lives Matter, Indigenous Lives Matter, and statements are not enough. For those of us who are dominant cultures, it is much more difficult, though equally more important, to look at the status quo benefits us differently than others because of the color of our skin, to recognize how to support the status quo or take action. At a national level, we have strived to create a national strategy and support our individual communities in building cultural competence and intercultural connection. Recognize that our current board, listen closely. We recognize that our current board of directors and our membership does not reflect our country's makeup. We are largely white, middle-aged, or older, straight, cisgendered men. And if we want to be better at creating competency and connection, this needs to change. Think gender equality, think the Sustainable Development Goal for gender equality, think the fact that he emceed an event in 2019, linked on his page, Mentor World Service Corporation, probably linked in I'm almost guarantee it's linked in our article somewhere. And the United Nations Sustainable Head of Development spoke at it. Then you see this statement. It's like, woo, okay. And if we want to be better at creating competency connection, that needs to change. Not by changing others to be more like us, but to find ways that we can change as individuals in an organization to be more inclusive of others. Now is a time for us from dominant cultures to create space for others to speak and listen to whatever they choose to share. It is not for us to soothe, relate to be defensive about, or even empathize with their experiences, but to hear them with open ears, minds, open hearts. It's time to use our privilege for the good of all. Not just those of who are like us, but especially for those who do not have our privileges. Each of us has a decision to make about how to do that as individuals, but as an organization, we continue to take action and do just that. All right, we'll go back here. Yeah, so now that's a little bit of background why we wrote it. He was also dressed as V for Halloween at TO Dundas Square. Okay. Yeah, so these were the connections. And honestly, we had a...
Go watch V for Vendetta, anybody watching.
Yeah, we had an initial report right before we went live with him that kind of changed up the questioning. They thought he was Antifa. We included that in an article. I didn't really believe that at all at the time. So I said to Broderick, I said, well, we're going to ask generic questions. Why'd you start the line? What's the line about? What are your plans? Where's it going? All that kind of easy stuff. And then for about an hour and a half, I think it would seem like we'd ask a question and get a rant totally unrelated to the question at hand. And yeah, so it made it difficult to not write when we got to the Black Lives Matter statement, and then knowing through his page that he had sponsored, like this all was known when we wrote it, And so we went, man, we're too small. They're really popular. We're going to get quashed. But I say all that to say, truth falls where it falls, and we cover stories that matter. Welcome to Diverge Media. Now let's get into some real interesting stuff for tonight. All right. So
tip of the iceberg is all that was.
Tip of the tippy top. So recently we kind of went viral on Twitter, I guess, as viral as we've ever been.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, was it?
Yeah.
So basically timing's everything. God is good. And the timing of this tweet was incredible. So basically what happened, give credit where credit's due. Amazing Polly put out something about this a little bit, and I always look into the in behind. So I was like, okay, let's look into the links. And sure enough, she does a pretty good job on these things. And so I knew there was probably something to it. And sure enough, we got into it, and I find through the Young Global Leaders Initiative that Klaus Schwab, the creator of The Great Reset from the World Economic Forum, wrote a book. We're going to pull it up real quick here. He wrote a book called The Great Reset, COVID-19, The Great Reset. And we'll get into some more stuff. This is just the surface. So basically, he starts this organization called the Young Global Leaders Initiative. And when he does that, we start digging. So first thing we got to do is go to the Young Global Leaders Initiative. And what we're going to do, I'm going to pop around to the links in a minute here, but we'll go from my article just so you can get all the names of who we found that was involved in Canada. Okay. Yeah, it's a doozy. Okay. So the Young Global Leaders Forum, they're all linked back to the pages that, so here we go. Michelle Rempel is on that. She responded to our tweets after. She said, okay, I'll bite. Then talked about basically I'm a good conservative because I thought it was too expensive to eat the food there on the taxpayer dime, so I ate gas station sandwiches.
And you like Ivanka Trump, so that
And kind of alluding to these things. It just seemed like she was floating out like, oh, I think my base likes this, so I'm going to say this. And at the end of the day, what she didn't do is address the question at hand. And she's an active member of this organization. And so she didn't really address, like, by the way, she might have been eating gas station sandwiches, but she doesn't say that she didn't write them off against the taxpayer dollar. And if you're going to something that's not related to government or Davos or something like that, then you don't. Then you just don't pay for or you pay for those things out of your own pocket rather.
When I was at our brother's place, I was saying to him how it's such a politician-like answer, and he was saying, "Oh, she totally avoided the answer, or the question." Sorry, and just completely not really that exactly related. Just look at me, I'm so good, I'm so awesome. Look at me.
She played to her base, and we'll go into that. I want to explain what's going on when politicians do things like that, because it's just hiding the information. It's a very political game in nature where they play off of people's emotions rather than people's logics, and they hammer on the things that they think will be received well. I mean, there's not a lot of principles, unfortunately, out of politics these days. And so it's pretty easy. Just where's the wind going? Oh, I need to go this way. And that's kind of how it goes, unfortunately, in my opinion, just so we don't get our throats jumped down. But here we go. We'll go back here. No, that's the wrong one. Not that one. Okay, so Michelle Rempel, Chrystia Freeland. So Michelle Rempel is an active member. Chrystia Freeland, she's an alumni. Jagmeet Singh, active member. So there's your NDP, Liberal, Conservative Party all hanging out at the same thing. We'll get into what that all means after. Terry Beach, Parliamentary Secretary, Department of Fisheries, Oceans, and the Canadian Coast Guard. Eilish Campbell, Chief Trade Commissioner, Global Affairs Canada. François Philippe Champagne, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Global Affairs Canada. Renee Maria Tremblay, Supreme Court of Canada, Senior Counsel Canada. Alyssa Goldberg, Minister of Strategic Policy, Global Affairs Canada. Karina Gold, Minister of International Development, Global Affairs Canada. Sounds like they're covering off the SGDs pretty good, eh? Melanie Joly, Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages, Science and Economic Development. And Mariam Monsef, Minister for Women and Economic Equality and Rural Economic
She's
Development.
the newest one from Canada to be part of this the new class? Like, you know how I think they do a class like, what is it, every year or so?
I don't know how often they do it. I was trying to figure that out, but this is another thing. So included in an article, they take 5 years of classes being a part of this organization, and it was unclear to me how many times a year, who pays for it, or anything else. So, like, is she writing it off potentially as a taxpayer expense and saying it's government business? And kind of like, I'll give you a background on some things business owners do sometimes to save on taxes. So if you're going, I want to go visit family as an example. I don't do this, okay? But I want to go visit family as an example. And you know what? I know there's a guy down there that I can kind of talk to business about or something business related, and I'll write off the whole trip and it's all tax write-off. Did she go to these meetings and kind of do the same thing? And all these questions come up and there's really not an answer. So we'll continue back here. So some of the concerning quotes that came out, this is, what is the forum's purpose? This is on their website, and we're going to pop over to their website in a little bit. Inspire, connect, transform. Okay, inspire. YGLs are motivated to use their talent and influence to be a force for good. We cultivate collective and individual leadership to help develop informed, visionary, global change makers. Well, I want you to be a change maker in my nation, and we'll go through a bunch of this, why it's all complete freaking nonsense, their solutions to the problems. But connect. YGLs believe that they're pooling their diverse skills, experiences, and networks they can achieve more together. We foster collaboration in the global public interest. Global. Twice. Could it be thrice? Transform. YGLs are pioneering and bold. We identify and champion ways to scale up, amplify, and accelerate their impact to make more of a difference in their communities. And we didn't say global again. 3 times would be too much. Beyond. Doesn't that sound nicer?
That's something I realized when I was preparing for tonight and looking through different videos. And it just seems like they promote all this in a way that it looks very nice and, like, look at me, like, look what we're doing, like, we're really good. And so it looks really good. But why is it bad?
So why is it bad? We're about to get into that, because I got to lay out all the groundwork. And this is kind of why they get away with this stuff, is because it's called greenwashing the information, if you truthfully want to know. And I'll give you a really simple analogy. If you want to create a crap sandwich where you're stuffing crap in it, how do you get away with it? Okay, this is really stupid.
Analogy,
this is okay. Because they're feeding you crap sandwiches. This is why I make the analogy. Okay. So nice and fluffy white bread on top, or whole wheat, whatever you like. All the good meats. Oh, this all sounds good. And there's like 1 or 2 sentences like, ooh, that's really bad. And that's where the crap comes in. They stuff the crap in this crap sandwich, and then they end out on, oh, nice fluffy stuff. Sounds all good again. So that
it's like, it's what you call greenwashing, right?
Yes. So that's my analogy for greenwashing. So what they're doing is they hide it within all this stuff that sounds nice, and there's really not a lot to be maybe concerned at. And they'll put out like an hour or over an hour thing. And then it's like, okay, well, it's over an hour. And then there's literally 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes you needed to listen to. And it's 45 to 50 minutes in. And they do the same thing with documents. So when I'm digging through these documents, you see the same thing. Dig and dig and dig. It sounds nice. And then you can't find what you're looking for. And most people just bail. But when you stick with it and you start learning how they talk, how they hide things, it gets easier and easier. So my person just bailed that normally does all this stuff, and I have no idea how to do this. So I'll continue. I'm going to read out another.
Before you can do it, it seems like, I don't know if they do it every year or not, but they have their new class this year for young global leaders. 115 new global leaders for this year. And I'm looking through all the countries. They have it divided into North America, not by country, but by region.
Yeah, I think they have it split into 10 regions.
Yeah, well, it's 11, but I don't know what. Is that ASEAN? Is that Ocean Asia, or what is that?
I'd have to see it. I can't think right now.
Philippines, Cambodia, Indonesia. Okay, anyways. With the new North America one, there's 30 new young global leaders, 28 of which are from the U.S. and 2 of which are from Canada.
My daughter just woke up, so if you wonder why there's a hesitation in in the work here, that's pretty much why. But I'm going to read from, these are their global principles: generosity, authenticity, respect, and impact. So generosity, we take time to listen and support each other at a deep human level. We go out of our way to make a difference into one another's work. I thought that was interesting. We're inclusive. And we challenge each other and make diversity a source of strength. Does anybody else remember when Trudeau said diversity is our strength? So she belongs, this is a conservative, NDP, liberal, even the senior, there's even a person who's senior counsel for the Supreme Court of Canada in this group as well. Okay, authenticity. We bring our real selves to the community. We open up. We seek humility and acknowledge what we don't know so we can learn from others. We value each other as individuals beyond the roles we occupy. Like, think gender equality, SDG again. Respect. We communicate respect even when we deeply disagree. We earn trust and honor the commitments we make to one another. I thought that was interesting. Again, what commitments are you making, and how far would you go to honor it? We strive for transparency in the way we operate and hold each other accountable. So the questions to be asked are, what are the commitments and how do you hold each other accountable? Impact. We operate as a force for good and stand for something larger than ourselves. Think global citizens, and we're going to get to some videos. And trust me, I'm just setting the tone for later. It's about to get good. We imagine a better role and take responsibility of that. We capitalize on diverse talents and networks to achieve more together than we could alone. We overcome barriers that elsewhere stand in the way of progress. Woof. What progress are they referring to? How do you capitalize on diverse talents and networks to achieve more together? What is it that is larger than ourselves or yourself that you need to work towards? Saving the planet. Isn't that kind of the SDG goal again and again and again and again? You need to do this. I don't know, anything. She put the computer in front of me like, you got this, right? I've never even seen Restream software ever. And I'm like, I don't know anything about it. She's like, okay. So she got a baby in one arm. This is our producer. Baby in one arm, computer in the other. Welcome to Diverge Media. We get it done. It doesn't matter. So notable names on their website. These scared the, I know I don't, because I didn't know how to do it. So, all right. Notable names of concern on their website under our people. Klaus Schwab, obviously, that's concern. But here's a few maybe that you weren't expecting to hear. Eric Jing, Executive Chairman, Ant Group, People's Republic of China.
What's Ant Group?
That's another one I got to explore. Like I told you, I got a list of like 12 things I got to go through. Or 10 things now, sorry. That I never heard of until I started reading through their page and documents and everything else. So Amina Mohammed, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. HRH Prince Jing, the Bourbon de Parme, Senior Advisor, Private Sector Partnerships, United Nations High Council for Refugees. Shimmer Diao, Community Lead, Greater China and North Asia Forum Foundations, World Economic Forum, Beijing, People's Republic of China. So you're just rubbing shoulders with people from the People's Republic of China, just rubbing shoulders with Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, and it's directly his organization, and we're going to act like whatever. Like, I'm back to Rempel, because she's the one who decided she was going to try to laugh at us and dismiss it. But you belong to this organization made by Klaus Schwab, who wrote and authored a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. Then you have people from the Republic of China. Then you have people, the Secretary General from the United Nations for the United States of America. Then you have the Senior Advisor for Private Sector Partnerships, United Nations High Commission for Refugees. Then you also have another one in there from the Republic of China. And then other supporters I have in there here's a few that popped out. Harvard Kennedy School, Princeton University, and University of Oxford. Okay, so that's. I'm not going to give everything out of our article here. There's a ton. I always recommend my work, but seriously, check this one out. It's a really good one, and everything's linked. You can feel comfortable sharing it. Go through it yourself. It's a good one. But we pop over here.
So Ant Group is. It's the world's highest value fintech company.
Okay.
Most valuable unicorn company. It's just
okay. What is a unicorn company? This is, man, some of the things they say. So we're going to go to people here. Do we still got my screen share up? Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I just want to show people, like, again, You might not believe me, and that's okay. Klaus Schwab, Nicole Schwab. There's the Gem de Provence de Parme, Peter Lacey, Eric Jing. Now meet the team. Not more people here. How did I look up people again on here? Vision and mission members, community.
Community, and then you can do by country, I think it is.
So this is all linked in the article. It was linked in the Twitter feed as well. And so here you go. You can search literally any country. Send this to friends all around the world. Seriously. Because you can go in any country, any region, and we can even break it down. I'll show you. They made it real easy. And they might not for much longer if this gets too much attention. But here we go. Academia, think tank, arts and culture, business, civil society, media, public figure, social entrepreneur. I mean, okay, let's go media. I didn't even look into media, actually. I don't think.
Go
region,
Canada,
North America.
North America, and then you have to look through those.
Anchor and global news market editor, Fox Business Network, Maria Bartiromo. Fox News. They've been kind of weird with the reporting lately, haven't they? Huh. I just thought you should know.
Bloomberg.
Journalist, Bloomberg, Justin Fox, U.S. Correspondent, BBC News, Washington Post staff reporter, National Review executive editor. So that's like, what, 4 papers now? NBC News executive editor. Wow. It's like, man, they got most of the major ones. Chief executive officer of executive editor of News Deeply. There's another one. Okay. So nothing for Canada. That's why it wasn't included. But we want to go specifically status active. Right? Oh, we got to get off the media here. It won't show up. So, jag me. Oh, active. Weird, right? Okay, so there's that. Whoops.
I'm surprised Trudeau's in a part of this.
Well, he's probably a part of a different small NGO that you've never heard of, and I will find it. So, man, you got me. Oh, no. What just happened? Yeah. I like double clicked. I don't want that. So there's Rempel. Whoops. Click Rempel. She's active. Now, I know that we'll go all.
Chrystia Freeland as well? Or?
Yeah, no, we'll get there. I'm just going to go all North America, and we'll go through that. So, okay. No, I can't. It's too much. So, Freeland, I didn't realize how many they had. Chrystia Freeland, her
Can you
status.
search Canada up there and see if
I hadn't even
gives the other Canadian ones.
I don't want alumni. Go all North America. No. See, this is kind of how they do things, right? It's called greenwashing. They make the information difficult to get at. But I mean, I haven't even done this, but just for the show tonight, let's see. Oh, Jacinda Ardern also belongs to this, New Zealand's prime minister. Media, we got North America. I don't want North America. Let's go all. Let's see who's on here. CNBC, United Kingdom. Editor-in-chief, Arab News. An author out of Japan. Multimedia, BBC World Service. The New Humanitarian in Switzerland. Editor-in-chief, The National, United Arab Emirates. Malta, Singapore. News anchor and correspondent, ABS, CBN, television networks, Philippines. Australia, managing direct. Like, you just see how extensive their list is. And then that's vision and mission. This is all linked in the article too, but this is where you find all these things. Transform, make a difference beyond, global public interest. It's all there. But when we get into, I said I was going to pull this up. Climate change is this the one? So I need to do. So now we've established the World Economic Forum. Oh, sorry. This is the one more thing I need to link in here. Important. Apolitical Academy, linked in as a funder, linked as a direct tie to the Young Global Leaders Foundation, in which Michelle Rempel, Jagmeet Singh, Chrystia Freeland, our Deputy Prime Minister, all belong to or were alumni of, or are alumni of. Apolitical was directly linked in there. Let's look at some of the sponsors here. Open Societies Foundation, UNICEF, the World Bank, Harvard Kennedy School, Chatham House, the Royal Institute of International Affairs is another big one tied to the UK, Cabinet Office, Africa Leadership Initiative, Daniel Sachs Shift Else. Like, you just see it again and again and again. It's all there in that article for everyone. So now we've tied directly that the World Economic Forum owns this. This is Klaus Schwab's. Now, here's where things get fun. Here, I'm going to come back. We're going to pop in. We'll have a little conversation here. Ant Group, Jack Ma's OneWeb bailed out $500 million by Boris Johnson. Well, surprise, surprise. Ant Group did WeWork, failed OneWeb satellite network. Wow. Oh, man. Okay, so now we've established that Klaus Schwab, this is his foundation that Michelle Rempel, Jagmeet Singh, Chrystia Freeland, and a bunch of other high-level Canadians in positions of power belong to. They would love to laugh this off. Now, here's where it gets really crazy. Has anybody ever heard of the Club of Rome? We covered this, and check out our articles. We've already covered it, okay? We even have some videos on our YouTube channel that kind of discuss a few of the things from one of our live streams where we discussed it from the Club of Rome. Why do I keep bringing up the Club of Rome? So we've established that the World Economic Forum sponsors this. This is how they work. It's a group inside a group inside a group inside a group inside a group. It's the inception of hiding your rear end, because if the public ever found out, like they're doing now, they would be livid, and it's rightfully so. It's because now we can get into the fun stuff.
How do you hide a sticker file on your computer? A folder and a folder, folder and a folder.
Yup. Club of Rome. If you search Club of Rome, World Economic Forum, this will come up. You'll be able to find this article. Climate change is a planetary emergency. How can we avert disaster? Now, for our viewers that have been loyal for a long time, they'll already know where I'm going with this. Planetary emergency plan from the Club of Rome. Now, just to show everyone here, it is linked in here. It is time for a reality check on unhealthy consumption and growth habits have not only tipped ecosystems, but have also created severe socioeconomic hotspots. Okay, it goes on. Calls for new paradigm and growth indicators were already made in the 60s by President John F. Kennedy and Senator Robert Kennedy. Now, think that the Kennedy School was linked as a sponsor of this Young Global Leaders. Oh, man, it keeps coming back, doesn't it? They're all linked, okay? In 1972, the seminal work by the Club of Rome, The Limits of Growth, laid out the price of progress from socioeconomic, financial to environmental tipping points. So now, the Club of Rome's Planetary Emergency Plan provides a new compass for nations as they navigate through 2020, a critical year for the international policy action with key decisions due on climate change, biodiversity, the oceans, and the SDGs and beyond. Greg, why did you say they all belong to these groups, working towards the SDGs? Because it's like arm's length. They're not going to put it on their freaking page. That'd be too easy. Don't centralize the information. Wouldn't want the average person figuring this out, because most people don't spend 6, 8, 10, 20, 40, 50, hundreds of hours researching their crap like I do. So they didn't expect somebody, most people aren't going to ever get to this information the way they're hiding it. But here it is. What is the Planetary Emergency Plan is the real question. Well, here's the Planetary Emergency Plan. I just want to, here, we'll show this. It's actually the same document. I should do that. I don't have screen share up. I'm an idiot. All right, we're back. No results found, eh? Oh, really? So they killed the link? They killed the link, you dicks. That's okay. I know where it's at. Planetary Emergency Plan. Look it up. You got the 2.0 on there. Oh, look. Here it is. Planetary Emergency Plan. Planetary Emergency 2.0. Securing a new deal for people, nature, and climate. Oh, that sounds nice. Okay? Sounds nice. Here's the crap that should scare every Canadian, every person, anybody who has somebody tied to this, which at this point it's reaching its tentacles into every part of the globe if it hasn't already. It appears almost every nation has people in high places connected to these groups that are connected to the group, connected to a group, connected back to the same agenda again and again. By 2030, declare critical ecosystems as global commons and protected areas. What does that mean? Guarantee a regime of stewardship and sustainable management. These ecosystems are essential to the functioning of a stable planet. Act as carbon stocks and are a solution provider for climate stability and human health. So basically, global commons would mean, even though you're in Canada, we think that, this stuff you're doing, oil, it's so nasty, so dirty. You're not allowed to do that anymore. In fact, we're going to demand you don't do it anymore because it's part of the global commons. That's literally where we're going. My daughter in the background. Sign a moratorium on the exploration of Arctic oil and gas reserves. Halt the decline of critical and vulnerable ocean ecosystems and habitats. That's not the one that should concern. Here's another one. By 2025, halt all conversion of wetlands, grasslands, and savannas for the production of agricultural commodities, and triple annual investment in their effective protection, restoration, regeneration, and resilience. I was worried about the cat. Ramp up investment to provide essential goods, boost public and private finance flows for restoration. Okay, so how are they going to get it done? This is saying these are the goals that need to get done. This is our 10 commitments we have for the global commons and public goods. Here's 10 urgent actions for the transformation. Again, linked through the World Economic Forum, linked through the young global leaders, tied directly to NDP, liberal, conservative, the Supreme Court of Canada. I mean, how much more do you want? Introduce economic progress indicators that include social, ecological, human health, and well-being factors by 2030, recognizing that those depend on the stewardship of natural ecosystems and support the world's most vulnerable. Here's another one. Revolutionize taxation for the 21st century by internalizing environmental and social extremities or externalities. So here's where it gets crazy. By the end of 2020, ensure access to health services, education, employment programs, fostering transformative learning and innovation, reskilling and retraining. Specifically ensure that girls and women have equal access. No, it's not here. Here we are. Think Canada. We have some of the biggest oil reserves. We could be literally the wealthiest nation. And think of all the good we could do for climate change by being the most ethical producer of oil and gas in the planet Earth, and having excess cash because, man, if we had excess cash, we already give a ton away money we don't have. Could you imagine what politicians could do if they actually had money? Okay, stop fossil fuel expansion, production, and use by halting subsidies and shifting revenues and investments to low carbon energy deployment. This includes setting end dates for fossil fuel-based infrastructure, mobility, and electricity generation in alignment with scientific assessments of necessity and climate neutrality goals. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, double wind and solar capacity every 4 years by tripling annual investments and allocate at least 1% of GDP. Look up Michael Moore, Planet of Humans, and you'll understand why that's not actually green energy. Okay, I worked on the windmill blades. A lot of them are being buried underground because they have no way of recycling them. The resin they inject into those fiberglass blades is toxic until it dries. Those are chopping up birds, those windmills, about 8 to 10 a year. That's against the Environmental Protection Agency. You can't do that, but apparently it's green, so they can throw that up. And this is what they want to switch to. Now think, if we got rid of all the oil and gas and you had the plug in your car, and now we're in an age where you're actively being censored. You look up the wrong thing or you look up something on Facebook or Google, and the next thing you know, you're getting an ad somewhere else on the internet for it. That's literally where we're at in society. Now imagine they don't like you and you have to plug your car in to be able to go to work. Shut off the grid. You can't do it. Like, this is the type of stuff that goes through my mind where it could get bad. You're setting the infrastructure, but at the very least, what it does is it creates a new system that they can control. It pulls from different people. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask something? When I think back, I don't know about you, but when I think back to school, like public school, high school, I remember it like all these green initiatives and the earth is dying kind of stuff just getting like massaged into you as you learn and as you grow up, and as like, you know, children's brains and young people's brains are so malleable that you absorb things and they're very, very impressionable. Did you find that at all maybe growing up? I don't know if it was different for you. We have about a 5-year gap. But I found like even in geography class we had those kind of green new initiative type things being massaged into us. And I think I was talking to you about this today. Was our final project for our geography class in grade 12 was like a utopia city, or like kind of like a green sustainable city of some sorts.
Yeah, they hit the education a lot young, and it just makes it easy. Well, you look at what they're doing now, but the reality of it is you want to back that up a little bit. Why all this stuff doesn't make any sense. Their solution is like, the planet's going to go. It's going to go. It's going to go. And by the way, give us all your freedom, all your liberty, because we know best. Well, if it's really about the planet, and I've said this before, then there's libertarian principles or free market principles. If people are greedy and that's why we need to be making draconian measures to get them to stop doing the stuff they're doing to save the planet, then wouldn't the reverse be true? You could use greed, because either way they're peeing away money like crazy. Like, they're just whatever they'll throw money at anything climate change related. Then why not take that money and incentivize good investments in other things? Because it's not about actually doing anything for the planet, but it's rather about gaining control through these measures. And we'll go back into some other things. You're going to be able to pull up a screen here?
Yeah.
It's a struggle. So that's the planet, or back to planetary emergency. So this sounds exactly like our prime minister. Number 7, set a global price on carbon to at least greater than 30 US a ton, which internalizes all energy, and all products and services no later than 2025. This one, when I read it, I just thought COVID. Okay. Immediately agree to half consumption and production footprints in developed and emerging economies and closed loops in inefficient industrial energy and agricultural value chains and processes by 2030. Enhance regenerative land use and halt unsustainable natural resource exploitation, including rare earth minerals. You like your cell phone? You like your laptop? They're going to halt that too. Okay. Internalize externalities and unsustainable high carbon production and consumption and develop a cross roadmap. Okay. That's all fun and games. Now let's go into, oh man. So, Young Global Leaders Facebook page. What's on there? Why a little chaos could be just what the SGDs need. Okay. You got my curiosity. Never let a good crisis go to waste. This saying has been around, doing around somewhat in 2020. This crisis also created a springboard from which ed tech companies can partner with government and non-government education entities to democratize education. Where did that springboard come from? Operation Lockstep. I remember hearing that terminology there. So again, you just start seeing these things flow the more you study them. But when nobody's studying them, you just sound crazy, apparently. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic has spewed chaos and seemingly still waters, causing global disruption. Happily, chaos theory dictates that even apparent randomness can contain underlying layers of patterns and interdependence that make chaotic moments opportune for doing transformational things. The UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goals have the transformational mission of building optimal health and well-being for humanity and the planet. Oh, sounds good. And yet progress towards achieving the 17 SDGs has been halting at best. The usual suspects have emerged to explain why more has not been done. Lack of infrastructure, physical, virtual, and mental, not enough support, be it financially or morally, and intentions that were not up to par from governments and or members of the public. So these are the type of things they're sharing, on their page. And to say like, oh, they're not about the SDGs. I have nothing to do with the SDGs. I don't, whatever. It's getting to the point that it's becoming pretty obvious. There's a lot of people that pretend to be one way, that completely play out. They think the public's stupid, and they never thought these things would start coming out. And ironically, if they did plan on using COVID for the Great Reset, it's also simultaneously giving people the opportunity to sit down, research, and wake people up. And they're finding these things that were hidden from sight before. So this is that it's just everything you see. Apolitical Academy, these articles here, again and again and again, we see the list. It's all tied in. But I don't know how much else needs to be done to show people kind of what will it take to wake someone up. Like in the comment section, 14 of them involve vaccines. I honestly don't know the SDGs that well. I'll be honest, because I don't speak on things I can't that I don't know completely well. And I'm a great researcher, but calling it off the top of my head is a different story. I like to have things in front of me and actually read from them. But I'm going to pop back to our article in a little bit here. Just after I read through some of these. Canada has never had a more moronic, incompetent, and corrupt government. You must have had voter fraud here. Everyone I know hates Trudeau with a passion. On that topic, David, we covered Dominion. We went through the voter tabulator manuals. Basically, from what I've seen and what I exposed, I can't say that voter fraud did happen. I don't have proof of that per se, but the mechanisms were in place that it was definitely very doable. And there's probably a lot of motivated actors. I'll go as far as to say that. I can't go because I don't know. I don't have the proof, but everything lined up and there was definitely way too much access. COVID regulations made it way easier for things like that to get through. And I say all that to say Thursday for our live show, I'm going to be going through the Dominion Canada stuff, doing everything I can to expose that and see where it's used, why, how it's used, what machines are used, because I feel like I have a good footing that if the same machines are being used here, then I definitely can. It was a great piece you did. Thanks, Tim. Then we definitely can really expose the Canadian side of things. Now, on the flip side, if you want to see my Dominion work, we sat down with Mark Friesen, the Grizzly Patriot of the Forum for Canadian Sovereignty, and discussed their findings there. That was a great video. I would go check that out if you're looking for a video to check out on it. But we'll pop back in here. There's a few more quotes I want to share for this article. So concerning quotes. Under impact, they said their common denominator is a desire to contribute in entrepreneurial ways to the global public interest. 2, forging new approaches to public leadership. A partnership, this is where the Apolitical Academy comes in, between the Apolitical Academy and the Forum of Young Global Leaders will accelerate innovation in political leadership. And so the ties to Soros Foundation is the guy that he's on the Young Global Leaders. I can't remember his name. I'm blanking. It's linked in this article somewhere. He's on the Open Society Foundations as a board chair member. So accelerate innovation in political leadership to unlock the fourth industrial revolution's promise to build a more sustainable future. Apolitical will equip young leaders with tools to effectively influence politics and policies by when? 2021. Yeah, my daughter's making a lot of noise. Protecting 30% of the planet. Today, 4% of conservation of oceans, 15% of land will not preserve the planet. The National Geographic Society. And if you want to write down things you can research to help out Diverge Media, just make sure if you ever send us things, send a quote and a link and kind of where to find it. That would be the most helpful. The National Geographic Society and Dynamic Planet will leverage the forum. They will leverage what? Okay, they'll leverage the forum of young global leaders to secure what? A new deal for nature by 2020 and secure government commitments to protect significant portions of land and sea by 2030. So this is already being talked about. John F. Kennedy of Children's Health Defense League had an article on his page about water being given rights in, I want to say San Francisco, like water was given rights. And all it would take is one person complaining and all of a sudden you can't touch that. So imagine like you have water in your backyard, you got a stream and you want to drink out of it or something, or maybe you, whatever. Somebody could say you don't have access to that because water has rights. What? Like that's where this is going. It's just absolutely insane. And there's no reason to do it again. Free market can get all these things done. Freedom, okay, I'll give an example. This is the example I like to use. If environmental concerns are what they're driving at, okay, there is oil cleanup. I got to find this article. I've referenced it a few times. There's an oil cleanup contest a private business ran. They put up $10 million for anyone willing to participate. You're going to pop back. Nobody needs to look at the article I'm talking. They put up $10 million for people to participate who they set the standards. You need to improve on the old machine by, I think it was 2 times the amount and speed and whatever else. They laid out the parameters, said you need to hit this and then you qualify for the prize and the best wins. Okay. So if we want to keep our freedom, there's ways to do this. And that's even presuming that it is the global, like they conflict things. So yes, are we maybe using too many resources too quick? Yeah. But there's also new technologies that will come in. Well, are they promoting those? Yeah, but it's all these things. They'll mix everything in together to environment, climate change, like resources and things like that. But when people think climate change, they think the world's going to hell in a handbasket. It's all going to blow up. Therefore, cut carbon. So $10 million, private business. They lay it out, clean up oil better than we have currently. Okay. By the end of it, you got guys that are people that tinkered around in their garage were participating in this thing. And they walked away with a machine, I think it was 3 or 4 times better than the current technology out there for $10 million. Now, that's a lot of money. But when we talk government money, is that a lot of money? How much money has Trudeau given this? I mean, today, I don't know. I haven't watched. But like in the last week, I'm sure he's given out more than $10 million to some initiative. So if we want the free market to do that, get people involved. If you think people are greedy pieces of garbage, so therefore draconian measures, couldn't you flip the script and go, people are greedy, therefore if we incentivize the right behaviors, not decentivize. I hate that. Don't beat me with the stick and say you're doing good. Okay, incentivize things, and people will meet the goals faster and quicker than they ever would under draconian measures. Do you work faster when the boss is angry at you, standing over you, or when you actually like your boss?
So you say that one more time.
Do you work faster if you hate your boss? They're a piece of garbage. They complain all the time. They're always on you. Come on. Or do you work harder if you genuinely like your boss?
Obviously, when I genuinely like my boss.
Obviously, that's human development in a nutshell. So why are we putting a gun, figuratively speaking, not really, to people's heads saying you got to do this because the planet, when there's definitely ways through the free market to do the same things? It's ludicrous. All right. Go back here. Apolitical. Okay, you got ready for your screen share? Okay. They also had something in there, #AfterTheFlush. It will mobilize local governments, private actors, and consumers in India to establish a sustainable sanitation ecosystem, providing healthier outcomes. So if that's something you want to look into, look up #AfterTheFlush on Twitter. It's another SDG tied to number 6, I believe. And becoming a YGL is an opportunity and a commitment. It is a 5-year leadership journey that mobilizes their collective talents, accelerates action aimed at what? Tackling societal, political, and environmental challenges. So, Michelle, you say you're conservative. You act as though you're the alternative here in the Conservative Party. And it's not crapping on the conservatives. It's just if truth falls where it falls. And so you say you belong to this thing. Or you don't say. You got found out. You belong to this thing. You're an active member. And it says that your aim is tackling societal, political, and environmental challenges. And you're the shadow minister of health. Well, how can I trust anything you say? You belong to a secret organization. You got caught. And then you fluffed it up and said, well, I ate gas station sandwiches because I didn't want to pay $300 on the taxpayer dollar. And like, you're not even talking about the organization. You talked about Davos, so you're driving false equivalencies. You brought up the role that, like, all these things. It needs to stop. And it stops when people have the courage to actually ask the right questions. So now we're going to go through Young Global Leaders. If you go on their YouTube page, do I have the audio on? Did I put the audio on? I didn't. Sorry, everyone. This is where YGLs and globalization. Here we are.
I think you can.
That's not the one I want. So let's go Jacinda Ardern on global citizenship.
I think there's this debate going on right now, raging over whether you can be both patriotic and a global citizen. You know, I always, of course, view these issues through the lens of a New Zealander. And we are immensely proud of who and what we are as a nation, but some of that pride derives from what we've done on the international stage, the first country in the world to give women the vote, our stance on being nuclear free, our role in history creating a cradle to grave welfare system. So yes, I believe that you can be both proud of who you are and where you're from, but some of that pride can come from what you do as an international citizen.
See, crap sandwich. All right, next. These are about minute clips.
The world's problems today and national problems can only be solved by collaboration between different countries. So if you're a patriot that wants to make sure
let's back that
the
up.
world's problems today and national problems can only be solved by collaboration between different countries. So if you're a patriot that wants
How are our problems only solved by collaboration between countries? For instance, if Canada does a phenomenal job at doing oil cleanly, carbon capture, things like that, isn't that better for the entire globe? So why do I need to be a global citizen, have all these connections to other countries and basically give up my sovereignty because of global cooperation? That makes no sense. You can definitely, if you do great at home, if your team does great, doesn't that help everyone too? All these false equivalencies are constantly drawn by these people, and they never go into their actual details of their plans.
to make sure that your country doesn't suffer from diseases like polio or malaria. You have to care about what vaccines are being taken in other countries. If you are a patriot that cares about the environment, you have to care about what your neighbor is doing, whether it's through greenhouse emissions or whether it's to do with burning of fossil fuels. So the reality is, being a global citizen doesn't mean that you don't care about your own internal affairs. Being a global citizen means you're aware what the challenges are, but you're also aware of the bridges that can be built and the solutions that can be brought together. I was born in Sweden. I'm also from Iraq. I'm British. I live in the UAE. That means in this modern era where we have migrated...
That means I feel like I have no obligation to any of those countries because I'm a global citizen. Moving on. Saving the planet.
That addressing climate change will, on the long-term basis, be negative for the economy. Many studies have shown that if we get serious about making the transition to a green, inclusive economy, there are multiple economic opportunities in terms of breathing life into the economy in many parts of the world. In the construction sector, for example, we need to make all our buildings much more energy efficient. If we got serious about doing that as one strategy, we could have a boost in terms of economic growth. In terms of the energy sector itself, if you look at which sector today is generating more decent jobs in the energy space, in terms of new jobs, it's actually solar, wind, and...
What's your definition of decent? What do you mean by... See, so you use the false equivalency of doublespeak. More decent jobs. Well, did he say more overall jobs? Does that mean more joblessness? Yes, it does. This is what I mean. They never actually answer anything. It's all generalities and it's all crap sandwiches. It sounds nice and fluffy and a bunch of crap in there and then nice and fluffy.
Other renewable technologies. We have to understand we don't have a choice.
We do.
It's not about saving the planet.
Oh, it
it's about
isn't?
saving our children and their children's futures. And even if we have to take some short-term economic pain for long-term economic progress as well as the survival of humanity on this planet, it's worth doing.
So even if we have to take some short-term economic pain for the survival of humanity, he says. You see, like, these people have a God complex like crazy. Well, it's okay if a bunch of people got to starve. It's okay if we put hundreds of millions of children at risk of starvation and their families because no jobs are, they're not essential. Shut it down. That's okay. You know why? Because we're saving the planet. And remember when I said secret? She never thought we'd find her. How many subs? 504. How many views on this? 39 from 6th of March, 2019. These people hide things in plain sight. And now another one that was linked through their channel. You can go back here. Go Young Global Leaders again.
Problems today and national problems can only be solved by
you can link
between different countries.
You can link they're picking up subs. I wonder if it's a few of the people watching this. But basically, you can go link other channels through your channel. How did I find about the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship? Well, it was here. They gave it to me. What about Global Shapers community? What the heck is that? So these are the things that are hidden in plain sight for the people willing to dig down and look. And they'll act like you're crazy, that it doesn't exist, it's not real. But here it is. Social Entrepreneurs, quick look. Social Entrepreneurs in the World Economic Forum sessions. It's all there. I mean, it's all hidden in plain sight. And this is kind of the MO of what they do. It's frustrating because if nobody's looking, somebody can come out like me and they'll say things, and we're in a unique time in history, I think, because people are willing to look at these things finally. I know there's a lot of people I've been following this for years, and I've been saying this for so long, nobody believed me. Yup, people weren't ready. And human nature is a finicky thing that way. Sometimes people just aren't ready to hear the information that you have. It's unreal. It's so out in the open. It's so in your face. The Planetary Emergency Plan. And we found it's founded on multiple eyes. That is for sure. All these things sound good, but again, the free market could provide all these things 1 million times better than putting a gun to my head saying, Greg, you need to do all these things or the planet's going to blow up and you're a piece of garbage. And then, by the way, they're talking about, you've seen it's 2030, you'll own nothing and like it. But who wrote that? World Economic Forum. And then they talk about meat and all these different things. And I got to go into that in the next few weeks because that's another false equivalency, saying that meat's, it's not that it's not water intensive or anything like that. It's just that they drew a lot of false equivalency. They said for each pound of meat is 200 liters of water. It's about 50. And there's a bunch of things they did to basically get around, they padded the stats. So a lot of different things they did. I'll go through it in another one. It's too much to go through tonight. But do you want to pull up your article? Just give me a little time. I got to find something I want to pull back up for tonight.
My article?
Or sorry, you had not the article, Chrystia Freeland. So Chrystia Freeland linked through the Young Global Leaders under playlist. She has a TED Talk, and it's included in there. And so this is a short clip from that. Project's going to pull up for you.
So I found this really interesting that she talks about this boiled frog phenomenon, which is very common. Everyone knows what that is. If you slowly heat a frog for, you slowly heat a frog for, and slowly turn up the heat. If you're boiling a frog or whatever, the frog will be used to it over time.
If you slowly turn it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways, listen to what she says very carefully in this clip.
So, we're living in the age of the global plutocracy, but we've been slow to notice it. One of the reasons I think is a sort of boiled frog phenomenon. Changes which are slow and gradual can be hard to notice, even if their ultimate impact is quite dramatic. Think about what happened, after all, to the poor frog. But I think there's something else going on.
Catch that?
We're living in the age of the global plutocracy, but we've been slow to notice it. One of the I think is a sort of boiled frog phenomenon. Changes which are slow and gradual can be hard to notice, even if their
changes that are slow and gradual are hard to notice.
Ultimate impact is quite dramatic. Think
even
about
if the impact is quite dramatic.
What happened, after all, to the poor frog.
Right? And I kind of like, does that look in the background there kind of like a United Nations type thing? Symbolism?
Right. I wouldn't be surprised.
No.
Can you pull off your screen?
Yeah. Oh, on the wrong screen.
There we go. All right. I got, there's another article I did. We'll have to wait a few minutes. Again, I got a crying baby upstairs. But creeping normality.
Freeland.
So I wrote an article a little while back called "The Hidden Hand Who Really Runs Your Country: Exposing the Hidden Players" through the Club of Rome documents. Now, if you didn't believe me when I said that they always do this at the detriment of the free market, they 100% do. So on page 22 of that document, I read through it more. That was the one I was reading, the Planetary Emergency Plan. This is from that as well. Oh, this is an Agenda 21 document linked in that document. So this is a link inside a link inside a link, the inception of fact finding. Through such means as consumer legislation. So it says on page 22 of that document, without the stimulus of prices and market signals. Do you want to pull this up? So here, we'll go screen share. She's back. Okay. So this is my article, The Hidden Hand Who Really Runs Your Country. A nice United Nations flag if you need to look for it that way. There you go. In recent times, Great Reset, Global Commons, back down to, oh man, it's so far down. Okay, so number 4, agree in 2020 that half consumption and production footprints in developed and emerging economies. That's pretty much what happened this year. Now, shift taxation. They want to start taxing natural resources. We did a YouTube video saying they want to they want to basically, they want to claim land, air, and water have rights. And so you'd have to start paying taxes on them for their use. What does that mean? Meat would go up. What does that mean? Water expenses go up. What does that, like, just more money out of your pocket, essentially. Shift taxation from labor to use all of natural resources. Final disposal emissions to land, air, and water by 2020. So it's coming sometime this year if they have it their way. And it doesn't say shift taxation, like get rid of tax or on labor. It just says shift taxation. And I looked into the document and it's like marginally decrease that and add another 15 or 20% tax on natural resources. That sounds fantastic. So then their article, it's 2030. I own nothing. I have no privacy and my life's never been better. Maybe that's what they meant. But there's This is a good article too. This is another one. It's framing it simple yet compelling, a catalytic intervention designed to spur emergency action at its highest levels of decision making, and that's in reference to the Planetary Emergency Plan. There's one quote I wanted here. This is bugging me. I can't find it.
It's one of those last things mean bottled water will become more expensive.
Yeah, anything natural resource would become more expensive because they're going to add a tax onto it. But man, where the heck is some of this is the issue with these deep research articles is it's almost too much. It's not on. Okay. But basically, without the stimulus of prices, this is their belief on the market. Without the stimulus of prices and market signals to make it clear to producers and consumers the environmental. So unless we punish you, you'll just never do it. Why won't you incentivize it though? Because climate. Consumption of energy, materials, natural resources, and the generation of waste, significant changes in consumption and production patterns seem unlikely to occur in the near future. Another thing through that document, there's a video we did. The article is linked in Canadian Club of Rome. We linked it in there. They want to return population levels. This will sound like a conspiracy theory, but to pre-oil levels of 1 billion or less. That was also included in the document somewhere. That's what I was trying to find. It's too much to go back through, but it's there in that article or one of my articles. I almost write every day. So it's tough for me to narrow down some of the things I've actually written on. Globalism bad, nationalism good. Yeah, why can't we have a strong, again, you can have a strong national approach. We can be, this is twisting of truth, right? Are we maybe using too many resources? Sure. Is climate change catastrophic and it's going to blow everything up? No. Do we need to give up our freedoms to address these issues? No. Can we do it through the free market and incentivizing the right behaviors? Yes. Are we going to do that? No. This is kind of the MO of these people in power. It's never in a way that makes sense for most people. It's never in a way that can actually, again, it's never through incentives. It's always through disincentive, and that's putting it mildly. It's like literally at the at the trigger of a gun, you need to do these things or else. And so now we're seeing it. But we're going to get wrapping up a little bit tonight. Glenn came in a little bit late. Good to see you, Glenn. But for people that want to go through a little bit of stuff and information after the show, here's what I would give you as things that you can research that would help us if you can help narrow down links and send them in with quotes and page numbers and all that fun stuff. But basically, Apolitical Academy, if we can find more information on them. National Geographic Society, that would be a good one to look into. Dynamic Planet, Maverick Collective, Population Services International, and that's probably a good start for everyone in here. These things are mammoth to go through. For us to cover this much information, it's a lot of work, a lot of hands on deck. Usually 10 hours, 6 to 10 hours for any one of these articles of research alone, and 3 to 5 hours of writing it. So it depends, but a lot of the research gets done late into the hours of the night. Welcome back to the dark ages. So one of the things that is a takeaway, though, the more I watch these people and the more I read their documents, they never go into the actual detail of how they're going to get there. It's all in the nitty-gritty of the greenwashing of the document. So read through a 100-page document, and there will be a couple paragraphs in there that kind of explain why that's a terrible idea. What are you going to say?
Have you looked at I'm going to screen share this really quick. Have you looked at Maverick Collective? Because it sounded like something I was familiar with. It's not, no, but their website, right when I bring it up, it says, if Kate wants to pull this up, we change the future by creating it.
Get out.
You see this God complex?
Oh, come on. Really? So I guess I'm going into the Maverick Collective after this. Are you kidding me? It's founded by the Crown Princess Mette Marie of Norway.
It's redefining what it means to be a philanthropist.
Yeah. I'm sure you consider yourself a philanthropist. Oh, look at all the good we're doing.
Poverty, and we are doing it in our lifetime.
So
it looks good on the outside.
I guarantee when I get into that, I'm going to tear that apart.
Anyways,
You need to read every line, every word, understand what was actually said, on and on the list goes, because that's how they do it. It's plain in sight. But I don't know any of these faces. Stacia, Victoria, not pretty heavy on the woman.
I think it's all women. Wait, hold up. Maybe.
Quite the infant. Dear Charles, Miss Seville, as much as Brother Andrew. Oh,
Yeah, it's all women.
man. So, yeah, I don't even know. I guess I'm going to have to look in the Maverick collective. But also, you start going through the videos of young global leaders. That's Michelle Rempel, Jagmeet Singh, Chrystia Freeland, Senior Counsel. I got the sheet somewhere. I'll read that off one more time. Terry Beach, he's in charge of the Canadian Coast Guard. Eilish Campbell, she's the Chief Trade Commissioner, all a part of that. Francois Philippe Champagne, Minister of Foreign Affairs, part of that. Chrystia Freeland, she's an alumni, was a part of that. Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, yeah. Brian Gallant, he was a part of that, leader of the New Brunswick Liberal Party. Michelle Rempel Gardner, active member. Jagmeet Singh, active member. Renee Maria Tremblay, Supreme Court of Canada, Senior Counsel. I think she's an active member. I didn't double check that one. Alyssa Goldberg, Minister for Strategic Policy, included. Karina Gold, Minister of International Development, included. Melanie Jolie, Minister of Economic Development, Official Languages, Science and Economic Development. Marianne Mosif, Minister of Women, Gender Equality, Rural Economic Development. They have every single SDG basically covered with key influence characters right there. So
what is this cheese leg Freeland thing?
I don't
I've never heard of this.
Okay. Anyways, we need to close out tonight, and it's a good time to end it, I think. Thursday night, tune in. We're going to cover Dominion. We're going to cover Canadian side of Dominion with a recap of the American stuff. If you want to get ahead of the game and kind of know where we're going to go with that conversation, again, Mark Friesen, Canadian Forum for Sovereignty, his YouTube channel, we did the Dominion voting system and went through that there. That's a really good start place where I cover a lot of the information. So we're going to back into that, cover the Canadian side of things, figure out exactly who's involved, where the machines are used, what, my suspicion is they might not be everywhere across Canada, but it will likely be key ridings, and a lot in Toronto would be the concern. Quebec, Ontario would be the two biggest concerns for how much pull they have. So those will be the key areas to look. And also, I gotta verify this as part of the article, but I'm pretty sure the Conservative Party of Canada counts with the Dominion tabulators. So when Maxime said that the party's morally and intellectually corrupt, I don't know. Maybe he had something. There's some truth to that, maybe some merit to that. We'll find out. We're going to dig into the Canadian side of Dominion.
Immediately shredded all about.
Yeah. But anyways, this has been a great live stream. If you're new to the live stream, every Monday, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we deep dive into all these things. And we like to give as much evidence from the links as we possibly can, because I feel it's a burden of proof on us, because these things are they're not covered at all by any mainstream media, or any media almost for that matter. And so to do it properly, I end up putting 20, 30, 40 links sometimes in some of these things so that you can go through meticulously if you wanted to and verify everything that was said. And that's the way it should be done. So our goal is I write opinions. And that's partly to protect myself if anything were to happen, for whatever reason they come after me. But I'd like to write opinions with so much factual evidence behind them that they seem like they're anything but an opinion, and really are anything but an opinion. So even proof hardly cuts it. You got that right. I'll give you an example here on analytics. We put up like a 5-minute video, and this is our fault too. We need to be better at how we do our videos. That's on us. But you'd be lucky if 30 to 50% of people will watch that all the way through. So most people will bail out in the first 2 minutes of anything. So if you're releasing something longer and there's a lot of key information, if they're bailing out in 2 minutes and it's a 10-minute video, Do you really think they were even paying attention for the 2 minutes? This is where we're at in society. We're in the Instagram, TikTok, Snap, whatever. These 15, 20-second, give me the information, and that's it. That's the attention span. I honestly think that's by design. People don't know how to think anymore. My biggest complaint when I was in school is that they didn't teach me how to think. They taught me what to think. And so kind of maybe the making of me is how much I hated school. Not because I love learning, but I hated being told what to think. As an example, in grade 11 English, I gave a book report. I worked my rear end off on it. The teacher said, hey, you do a great job explaining why you think that. We'll give you good grades. Well, I handed in. She goes, first off, that's too good to be your work. Accused me of plagiarism. And then went, that's not what I think. I think you're wrong. Therefore, you're going to get poor grades. And I did a very good job of explaining why I read it into the way I did. But this is how they train people. You're being trained to and conditioned to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to not question things too much. Teacher said, therefore it is. Boss said, therefore it is. Politician said, therefore it is.
Do you remember what you wrote on?
That was some book. I don't know. Gulliver's Travels, I think it was.
I don't even know what that is.
It's about a giant, our normal person who finds a miniature people society, ends up being taken to it on some deserted island, I think. And yeah, it's. Anyways, you're asking me to remember something from like a decade ago.
Just wondering.
All right. For everybody who tuned in tonight, we thank you. I hope to see everybody Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, as we talk about Canadian Dominion voting systems. Thank you, and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.